Hello everyone, how are we doing today? So this is the stamp set that I told you I was going to work with today. And just trying to make sure my computer catches up here. Come on. And of course it's not. So there we are. Okay. Let's just make that screen a little bigger so I can see it. Oh, turn off my volume. All right, so we're ready to go. As always, thank you for shopping with me. I do appreciate that. So this is a very cool stamp set. And it's because of these two little pieces and maybe that piece too. And I'm going to show you a couple cards today and then give you a few tips. Okay, so there's what those two pieces look like. And it's for a little pop out that's quick and easy to do. Love it. Okay, let's get those out of the way. And the first, let's see, first little tip I'm going to show you is something that just happened. You know, you're doing stuff and sometimes stuff just comes about. I don't know how else to say it. You just figure it out. So the first thing I want to show you is that I took a layer off of my vase and then I just rolled it so that way it had kind of a little outline, if you will. And this is cherry cobbler. And then I thought, as I was doing the card, oh, I'd really like those dots to be gold. But what can I use to emboss them with? How can I get the Versamark ink pad, right, in those little tiny holes? And I'm like, gosh, what can I use? What can I use? So I opened it up and I said, oh, stylist. That ought to work. So I pulled out my stylist that goes on to my pick tool. And I think I used the big one. So let's put the big one in. And I thought, oh, I'll just dip it in here and dip it on here, pour the powder on and heat it up. Well, my pad is very dry, okay? So, got my re-inker for the Versamark, made myself a little puddle, if you will, dipped it in, daubed it on there, heated it up, and I got gold emboss where I wanted it. So, I don't know if anybody else has done that, but I thought, wow, that's really cool. I like that. And I'll show you the front of the card so you can see that. You can see the little emboss on there. I use the ephemera words that are stickers. Yay. Can't beat that. I just put mine in a baggie because there's all different pieces in this one. This is a great one. Also, you'll see on here, there's a piece of gold. I actually used the tag and put it upside down on there. And this is Patterns Tag Dies. If anything you're interested in, just let me know and I'll get back to you. This little banner piece is from the dies from Words of Beauty. That little piece there. I'm going to be using those, I think, a lot. What else did I do? Oh, and then I also went to these, which also go with the, I keep forgetting what that's called. It is Words of Beauty, so it's whatever the flower companion piece is. And these go with that suite of beauty, something of beauty. These are Pearls of Beauty. And I used these kind of brownish ones, but I thought they just set it off nicely with the gold, right? And then for the holly, I pulled out Christmas Greenery, which is in our current September through December. And there's this lovely holly in here. These do not come this way. I just put these sheets, magnetic sheets in, so that way I can keep them all together and not have to have them in here. Okay. And then you might notice that there is some embossing in the back of there. And I use this Forever Plaid 3D for this background. Just giving the camera time to catch up. Come on. I don't know why. It's now showing what I just showed you, this folder. Okay, so, and I'll take still shots so you can see it. So I thought that was a really cool trick to do with that. And the inside, ready? Ta-da! Hopefully you can see how layered that is. And it just folds flat. I'm going to show you another card, and I'm going to kind of help you, show you how I did that. Okay, so there's card number 1. Isn't that cool? It's just like, oh, that's so fun. Okay, card number 1. Card number 2. Here, and I wanted to kind of, this is obviously not what they intended. When you look in the flyer, because these are all online, you can see that it's meant to be, or they, you know, did artwork that is more anything but Christmas. That's why I did the Christmas version, just to show you that just because it's one thing doesn't mean it can't be something else or paired with something else, right? Okay. So, why isn't my time going? Somebody tell me. I've got an eyeball watching. Somebody tell me if I am live. It looks like I am on my computer, but the time's not ticking down. That's why I'm wondering. Okay, anyway, I'll keep going, and if I have to do another video, I do another video. So, with that in mind, I wanted to show you kind of a fall-ish card. And this is actually the leaves embossing folder, which is this one here, Gather Leaves embossing folder. And I thought that looked kind of cool back there, right? The little butterflies have punch outs, everything has punch out, but I wanted to show you how to do this. Okay, so like riding a bike, it can be a little difficult to get that down because there's stamps, right? There's stamps. The colors I'm using are Cherry Cobbler, Pretty Peacock, and Crushed Curry, okay? And I've got the centers of the flowers and the flowers themselves. And the first thing I did was stamp in Memento Black and let that set. That way your colors don't run. It's more so if you're using pens, the alcohol markers, that's going to run. But I like to just let it kind of cure, as I say. All right? So, the first thing I'm going to show you, and I usually start with lightest colors and move on to darker, so that's why I'm going to do the centers of the flowers first. And you can see, I always kind of just line, let's make sure I'm on camera. I always line them up like this, and forgive me if my hair and head gets in the way. And you can see there's an oval one, so you know that that's on the left. So, and I just kind of place my hands down, so that way I can hold my block and wiggle it around, but still stay fairly steady, okay? Doesn't have to be fast. All right. And that one came out great. Let's make sure, hopefully the next one will come out great too. All right, so a couple things I learned with these flowers. I put a little sticky on here because that's the way it goes, but it can fit that way almost. I don't know why, but it will, ooh, excuse me, it'll fit both ways. So, and I think what I might do on this one is take a layer off, and maybe I can see better. It's a little bit like riding a bike. You gotta get used to the stamp, okay? Forgive me again if my head gets in the way. And what I'm doing here is I'm looking at one particular flower. I'm getting that pretty well set up. And then I'm looking around to the rest of them before I put it down. Let's see how we did. It's better to leave it, let the ink transfer. Ooh, that came out perfect. I've done this probably 5 or 6 times now, and they didn't all come out perfect when I started. Here, I'll show you my little, grab some paper and just start stamping. And it doesn't look bad if you kind of two-tone it, but I was getting a lot of this. And then I realized that this was up and not this. Okay? I was doing it backwards. So then I tried doing it backwards. That didn't work either. I don't know why it worked now. Probably just because I've done this many of them. All right? So don't get discouraged if stuff doesn't happen the first time. Sometimes you just need to practice. It's like riding a bike. Okay? Now, for the leaves, you think, oh, well, Pretty Peacock is not a green. And I'm going to shock you even further. We are going to use it as a green, but I'm going to use Dark Pool Party first. Okay, and I'm just going over those leaves. Sorry, coloring is boring to watch, but it's quick. And then I took, which one is this? Light Peacock with the small end again. And I just kind of did some dots. Because remember, the newer your blenders are, the longer you leave it down, the more it's going to bleed. This versus this gets you a bigger dot. Okay? And then I just went around and traced over the leaves, or the stems. Added a few dots. And there we go. Look at the difference at how small, just touching it a little bit and leaving it there a second or two longer. Okay? The other thing is, don't go clear to the edge because you know it's going to spread. Stay just a little bit before the edge, and it sometimes will just wick out to that edge. So if you're having some difficulty in coloring, try those things. Okay? All right. So there's nothing inside here yet except a little strip of the embossing that I did here because I wanted to show you that inside mechanism and how you work it. Where is... Oh, sorry. You wouldn't believe all the stuff I have to the side of my desk. All right, let's pull this back in. So I got a piece of paper that was a little bit smaller for my inside. It's going to go right here and just leave me a little edge. And I used the Crushed Curry two-tone cardstock so that way I could use the lighter side. So that way you could still write on it, okay? So this just gives you a longer inside mechanism, and this gives you a shorter one. So how you do this is, hopefully you can see there's 2 little notches on the ends of there. That's what you line up in the middle of your card itself or the liner that you're going to put in, okay? So all I did was cut my piece of paper. I put this in here, and it just cuts out the top and the bottom and gives you a little, what is that? Fold line, emboss line, or fold line? Not emboss. Fold line. And then I went and cut this out in red, or no, in turquoise, sorry, my words are hard today. Pretty Peacock, okay? And I'll show you what that is. So you've got this like this, right? Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you're going to stamp on here, I don't know, if you pull up this set online, there's always some cards that you can see that they've made. And one of them, they had stamped those centers of the flower. Don't know where mine went now, right here, onto here. But if you already have your front done and you already put this in the card, do it before. When it's nice and flat, before you fold it, and then you can decorate that part. Also put your words in, okay? So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it in half, and I would bone fold really good all your pieces, okay? Be careful when you're doing this little piece. All right, And then what you want to do is you want to open it back up and pop this piece forward. So it goes like this. Why is this giving me difficulty? You don't know why. Seems to be, there we go. All right, make sure everything is kind of straight, and then bone fold that part as well. And I like to do both sides. Okay, so now you've got the mechanism, right? So now you can put this in your card like so. And I would use a lot of tape or good strong tape. And I would make sure that you tape around here and you're, all the way around and around this mechanism. So that way it stays in there, okay? But before we do that, we want to put on these little pieces, okay? And it gives you two, and they just look like this. I've already folded this one in half. It's got a score line. That's the word I was looking for before. It's got a score on it, which is nice. So who would want to try and score that little piece, right? All right, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the inside. So I've got my little mat here for gluing. And I've got my seal. I'm just going to run it down. My hands are so dry, it just sticks to me. Hold on. Okay. And whenever you do something, all right, fine. Stay on my finger, I don't care. Just make sure that you're getting adhesive on both sides, okay? All right. So now, let's stick that one there. You're gonna take this, and you can either do it front or back. Let me stand up so you can see. So I just put it where that score line is and folded it together. Okay, put it where the score line is, side to side. And I'm not pushing on the back until I fold it over. So that way if it needs to move just a little bit up, it can. Okay, there you go. Squish that all down together. Now you've got your little pretty on there. Okay, so it makes like it's a little pot or whatever. So I did some other flowers. And here's the point you got to watch. Is when you put this in here, you've got to make sure that it will fold and not get caught. Okay? Like this one. Let me show you this one since it's already in there. Right here, don't go over these lines because when it closes, it'll catch if you do and fold whatever is in there. And there again, you can't go over this line, so you've got to stay within this little square. All right? So let's try and put, and you need to put glue on the front side because you don't want it to glue down to there, then the mechanism won't work either. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive onto my flower stems just down there. And let's see if this will work. I'm not going to push it down a lot. I'm just going to push it down a little. Let me see. If I move it over, will it work? That's better. There we go. Okay. Now you can squish it. So I guess you can go over the center a little bit. But you just don't want it to bend. And actually, I think I would like it on this side. So let's see. See, that's a little bit too far. You got to get it a little closer to the center. All right, there we go. And I don't have, I've got some adhesive somewhere. I don't know where. I don't feel any. Oh, it's on there. It's on the back side of here. Okay, so I'm going to take my finger and rub that off. Put this back in. Wow. Trust me, it's truly not this hard. Okay, there we go. So now let's put some tape all along here. I know it seems a little bit redundant, but we don't want it falling apart, right? Went to all that work to make it. We don't want it to fall apart. All right. So I've just adhesived 1/2 of it. And again, we want to set that into that corner. And because I added that little piece, got to make sure that I sandwich it on there too. Okay, not quite. Never push down hard, so that way you can wiggle it around if you need to. All right. I think I'll try it this way. Start there. So I'm starting on that little piece. Okay. There we go. All right, so we're flush on here. Do that there. Oh, and now let's add the second half. This stuff is really sticky, which is good. But sometimes you gotta move it along because I go too far. If you lean too far, if you're on it too much, it'll take it all off of there, and then it won't roll forward because there's nothing to roll. All right, this part's easy. You just have to close your card. Squish that down. There we go. Ta-da! Isn't that cool? So when it stands up, it looks really cool. And that's what I have to show you today. So, as I always do, get this out of the way. Which one is your favorite today? Oh, and before I do that, or before I go, for next week's video, I'm thinking about using this set. Doesn't that look cool? I love all the little extra bits. Those are always good. And this looks interesting, so you can do it a couple different ways. So that's what we'll be playing with next week, friendly foliage. And as always, which is your favorite? Number 1 or number 2? And I could put words in here, but I just left it blank. Alrighty. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.